What's up, everyone? Welcome to our Dune workshop series number 1, Dune Initiation. Today, the workshop will give you an intro to Dune and Web3 data, and by the end of this, you will officially be initiated as an apprentice Dune wizard and be able to claim this NFT right here to display and proclaim to the world that you are now an apprentice wizard. If you're wondering if you're at the right place, the prereq for the workshop is you have some basic SQL knowledge and you have a Dune account. If you don't know SQL yet, please go finish the tutorial linked here, also in the description below. And if you don't have a Dune account yet, follow the link here on the screen and also in the description below and sign up today. All right, without further ado, let's get started. Here are the 5 steps of our initiation rituals. 1, we'll talk about the ideals of Web3 data. 2, we'll talk about what is Dune. 3, we'll write your very first Dune query together. 4, we'll talk about what you can build with Dune. And 5, we say ready, set, go, and you will write your own first query, different one, and go on your way to be initiated as an apprentice wizard. Let's talk about the ideals of Web3 data. And before we talk about Web3 data, let's talk about Web3. Because it's really confusing when people say the word Web3 where actually nobody really knows what it means. There's crypto, there's blockchain. So just listing a few things people generally associate Web3 with. So there's Web3 in contrast to Web2. There's not your key, not your coin. There's metaverse, there's crypto, there's tokens, there's read, write, own, there's blockchain, there's DeFi. So there's a whole array of things that people associate Web3 with. I would like to propose that whether it's from the DeFi perspective, from the finance perspective, which is essentially like trying to have a new way to divide up resources, or to the DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, which is companies within this new Web3 environment, to data. The one thing that Web3 injects into our existing system is the public nature of things. So until now, if we talk about data, it has been proprietary, meaning that normally big institutions, they have guarded access to data. Normally pretty expensive to get the access, so you have to pay to gain access, and it's pretty slow. We always hear about quarterly earnings. You basically don't have real-time data of a company. You get it every 3 months. So as a result, there's a lot of repeated work, and then it has a high barrier to entry. And then as a result of those, there's less innovation in the data field. But the Web3 data, on the other hand, right? Because Web3 has a shared public backend, so it's open by default, and it provides you with a live view of the blockchain. And anyone is entitled and encouraged to go take a look and analyze it. So it's real-time, flexible, and collaborative. When you think about the ideals of Web3 data, definitely a non-exhaustive list. These are the attributes. So it's open to everyone, public by default, right? And it's very composable. So like we sometimes jokingly talk about money Lego for DeFi, the same thing with Web3 data. We have data Lego. And all the data analytics we build can be stacked on top of each other. And we can all collaborate toward this shared goal. So we built together upon the same set of data with the same shared understanding. Closely related to composability is the attribute of community driven. We are all here as a community to learn together, to help each other out to reach the same goal. So one could argue that Web3 data is literally the dream space for the data curious and the Web3 curious people to explore. Next up, let's talk about Dune. What's the relationship between Web3 data and Dune? So what is Dune? Dune is the first community data platform, and our aim is to empower the curious to come together with data. You can always hear us say that the data must flow. So how is the data flowing? So imagine that you're trying to buy an NFT off of OpenSea. What happens is that you first need your wallet, right? You need to have an account, then you need to sign in to OpenSea and approve the transaction. Then you probably go to Block Explorer to make sure that the transaction indeed went through. Where Dune comes in is this last part, open data infrastructure. So even though blockchain data is open by default, it's not very organized or accessible. If everyone has to spin up their node and pre-process the data themselves in order to just do a simple profit and loss analysis, I feel like everyone would go crazy, right? So what Dune really does is enable people to build the best data views collaboratively without really having to waste time on worrying about data infrastructure. So we're here to standardize these data across different wallet protocols, help you do aggregations, provide you with labels, and much more. So if you think about Dune and Web3 data, Dune really shares the same ideals as Web3 data. It is open by default to everyone. You can just sign up and use it. It is very composable. Each of the users' work can be publicly shared, and then in turn, the data views where the data logic can be built on top of each other's. And it's very community driven. If you ever hang out in our Discord or just various group chats, it's such a wholesome vibe. We're here to learn in public, build in public. Since we're talking so much about data, I would like to tell you the 4 different types of data that we have on Dune. So we've got the raw data tables, which are just raw data produced by the blockchains. So think transactions, traces, logs. Then you've got the decoded tables, which are data produced by smart contracts of the protocols. Then you've got spellbook, which are abstraction data layer built on top of raw and decoded tables. And then you've got the community data sets. These are on-chain and off-chain data that are uploaded by the community and shared with everyone to build data analysis together. All right, let's go into Dune and take a look. So here is what you will see if you type in dune.com. So what you see is the Discover page. Here you can discover the trending dashboards, the trending queries, the top wizards or users, and then the top teams. And if you want to start a new query, you go to upper right hand side. And then here in the drop down are various data engines that we have. Nowadays, I normally just select Dune engine because it has all different chains that we have and it's pretty fast. So here you can start writing things already, right? And then after you write, you just click run. It's pretty intuitive. All right, let's walk through an example transaction to further solidify our understanding on how the data is flowing and cover one of the most important fundamental concept of what is the transactions, traces, and logs raw table. So let's say that you're swapping 100 DAI for 100 USDC on Uniswap v3. So what's happening on a very broad level is your wallet address sends 100 DAI to Uniswap, and then Uniswap in turn sends you back 100 USDC. Here I have an example transaction hash that you can go see on Blockstack. So you can see that, hey, this wallet sends 100 DAI to Uniswap, and Uniswap in turn sends back 100 USDC. Pretty clear, makes sense. So what happens in terms of the data and how it flows into these raw tables is your wallet signs a transaction, right? The transaction to say, let's swap the DAI for USDC, and then it calls a function, then produce the call data in the signed transaction, and these data gets into the transactions raw table. But when that happens, it kicks off a lot of times internal transactions. So imagine you go to the bank and then you need to get $10 worth of coins so you can go home and do laundry, right? It doesn't just happen like that. The teller needs to go get the coins and hand it back to you. So there's internal things that are happening after you placing the top level request. So these internal transactions that are kicked off by the top level signed transactions, the data for them are stored in the traces tables. Lastly, what happens in the logs table. So when a transaction happens, a lot of times, this is actually what you want. There will be events being emitted. So in our example here, 100 DAI is transferred from you to Uniswap. So there should be a transfer event being emitted and being logged in the logs table. This really helps with a cleaner view of what's going on and help with the data side of things a lot. So to hone in the point on what happens, with the same transaction on Dune, you can query for the data for this particular transaction. You can get the gas that are spent in this transaction, and then obviously you can get this long string of data. Okay, same thing. You can go to the Ethereum.traces table to look at the relevant internal transactions for this particular transaction. Very similarly, you've got the logs table, so Ethereum.logs table for this particular transaction. All right, so that is quick, basic run through of an example transaction and how to link the data that it produces to these raw tables. All right, let's write our first Dune query together. Don't leave me hanging. Let's do this together. The topic for our query is finding the USDC deposit and withdrawal during the FTX saga. So this is from November 1st to November 11th of last year, and we're basically gonna find the inflow and the outflow of coin USDC during this period for FTX International. Let's get started. Dune.com, going to go there. Let's start a new query, and I'm going to choose the Dune SQL engine. We're gonna write down what we want to investigate and then go do it. We're finding the USDC deposit and withdrawal during the FTX saga, right? That's what we want to do. So first I need to find the FTX International because that's what I actually care about, wallet address, because you need to know the wallet address before you can investigate the flow of money. Secondly, need to note that this is November 1st to November 11th of 2022, and then we're caring about USDC on Ethereum mainnet. And then stuff that we need to care about are the transfer event of the ERC20 token. So quick word, USDC is a fungible type of token. So just like your dollars, right? $1 is equal to another dollar. So they are fungible versus the non-fungible type of token are like the NFTs. One NFT is different from the other NFT. So they are ERC 721 standard. Don't worry if this doesn't like stick too much, but just so you know, why are we finding the transfer event from the ERC20 token table? So we need this table. We also need to know decimals and then price, which we'll go into later. First, let's find the address for FTX. So here, remember we were talking about different types of data we have. So let's go to the spells, and then let's type in labels. So we have this labels type of data, and we know that FTX is a centralized exchange, right? So centralized exchange is what I'm looking for on Ethereum. So select star from sex Ethereum where name like I want to find partial match for FTX. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so here I see a few options. I know that FTX 1 and 2 are for FTX International. So I'm gonna record the address here for my use later. Okay, so that part we got. Now I'm gonna start writing the query. So I'm gonna write my first CTE, common table expression. So I'm gonna call this address, and then I'm going to name the column inside of this table address. It just helps refer to it later on as. All right, so I'm saying values. What are my values? My values are basically these wallet addresses. Okay. All right, so let's just verify that this indeed has the outcome that we want, which yes, it totally does. Okay, so next we are going to find the inflow of our USDC, right? So our inflow table as select from, where are we selecting from? We talked about ERC20 type of token, right? So let's go into the ERC20 sector. And then we are concerned about the Ethereum chain. And then there's the transfer event table. So we're going to go there. And then we're going to alias this as T, right? So what are we filtering now? So where we need to know the transfer of this particular asset, right, which is our USDC, and I'm going to go to Etherscan, type in USDC to find the address for USDC token. So I'm gonna copy, paste on this side, awesome. And then I'm going to filter for the time span of things. So event block time is greater than 2022, 11:01, right? But this is a string, and with Dune SQL, which is powered by Trino, you have to explicitly cast things. So here I'm gonna cast it to be a timestamp, and also finish off this comparison. Now basically it needs to be less than or equal to 11:11. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so then the next part is I need to filter for the transfer event into the wallet, right? Because I'm only concerned about the inflows right now. So I will see T.2 is within select address from address. So here I'm selecting the address column from the address temp table that I've just created up top. Okay, so now let's see, what am I concerned with? Let's select for a event block time, and let's get a sample. Let's get the event hash to double check, and let's check the value. Okay, so again for value, this is a varchar type, so we have to explicitly cast it to, okay, and then also there's this concept of decimal, which I promise we'll talk about. So basically with the blockchain, it's not capable of having decimals, but obviously for numbers you need decimals. I can't just like always transfer you like a whole number of token. So to achieve decimals, they actually pad zeros at the end. So how many zeros they pad is how many decimals that the token needs to have. So different tokens have different decimals. A lot of times 18, but with USDC it's actually 6. You can find the decimals either from Etherscan, or there's a table in Dune that you can find the decimals for the token, which we're gonna do later on. But for now, we are just going to manually do it because I know that it's 6 decimals. So I'm dividing this number by 10 to the 6th power. And I'm going to call this my raw amount. And so now I'm going to say select star from this inflow table. And I just want to do some sanity check to see if it's correct. So I'm going to limit 10. So we have some transactions. Let's verify this 9991 transaction. So going to take the transaction hash, paste it over here, and double check. Hey, indeed the amount was 9999 and it was to the FTX exchange. Okay, wonderful. We know that it's correct. So next up, I'm going to enrich this and aggregate this up. I want to know the inflow and outflow for this period, and I want to know the daily inflow and outflow, so I need to aggregate this up to day. First, I need to truncate the timestamp to be a day, so I will do date trunc function, and then I will do day here as time. And then I no longer need the transaction hash because that was just for verification. And then now I need to translate into USD term. So USDC should ideally equal, like 1 USDC should equal to 1 USD, but it's not always the case. So let's just use this as an opportunity to see how we can adjust for the price. So to do that, we need to utilize another table. This is a spell that you can find in Dune, prices. So prices and then USD price. So let's call this as, okay, let's start a token rise decimal. Okay, so select from this where we need to have the blockchain equal to Ethereum because that's what we are operating on, and contract address is equal to USDC, right? And then similarly, we should do the time basically as the same thing. Okay, so here is minute. minute. Okay, so what do I want? I would like the decimal, and I would like the, actually, I would like the decimal, and I would like the price. However, because to match up our time window down below, right, because we want to aggregate the follow daily, we should also match the price to be a daily price. So here, let's just do a simple average for the day. So to achieve that, we need to do a date trunc for the day on the minute column. Here we need to do an average of the price as the average price. And then we are doing a group aggregation, right? So we need to do group by 1, which is this. And then we need to also group by 2, because the column needs to either be an aggregate function or part of the group that it's aggregated upon. All right, so there's the token price. Let's take a look to see if it's correct. Okay, looks pretty decent to me. Right, because I know decimal needs to be 6, and I know it should be like around $1, which it is. So it looks fine. So let's join this here. Let's join this TK. Okay, so here, first of all, we can replace the hard-coded decimals to be decimals from the table. And then second of all, before we do that, actually, let's sum it up, because we're trying to aggregate by the day, right? So sum up the value, same thing, but instead of just summing up the raw amount, I am timing it by the average price to adjust to the USD price for USDC, right? But because I'm aggregating, I'm also doing a group by 1 here. Okay, so this is our inflow. Let's introduce one more column just to help us with visualization later on. You will see why once we create the visualization, but for now, just go with me. Let's create a column called in as our category, because we're trying to separate the inflow and outflow. So this helps us to visualize it separately. Because we introduce this new column, it needs to be part of the group by. So that's it. So this is the inflow. Hard work is basically done. And we literally copy paste this. We literally copy paste the inflow and change it to be outflow. You need to change like 2-3 tiny things. So number one, the outflow is a negative number, right? Conceptually. So we time it by -1. Apologies, forgot to do this. This is USD amount. So we don't have the same column twice. And then the second important thing is change the to be from. And then from is a keyword, so you wrap it with a double quotation. Why do you need to do this, right? Outflow is the money flow from an address instead of flow into an address, right? So logically it's different. So that's literally all you need to do. You're good to go. So what we're going to do here is union all both of these table together from outflow. Oh, one more thing, you need to change the in category to be the out category. And then you union all, you're done. Just kidding, we have an error. Oh, forgot to left join on what? So left join on tk.time is equal to the time here, basically. So we gotta paste this over here as well. Okay, let's run it one more time. So here with the union all, what you're doing is you're trying to join these two tables together, but vertically. All right, looks like we have our results. So we have the in and out for per day, but we need some visualization to actually help us achieve what we were looking at here, right? So let's go to new visualization, bar chart, add visualization. Here for the Y column, I'm gonna get the USD amount, right? But it looks like this. So here is why I have that group by category. Ta-da! Then it separates the two, and then we click on enable stacking for the bar chart, and then it becomes the same line for the same day. And some more customization you can do to make this chart look nicer. So basically here, if you hover over, right, it's a bunch of numbers, it's really hard to read. but you can format it a little better. So I'm gonna do 0, 0A, and then now when I come here, then I can clearly see, hey, like 170 mil flew in and out on this day, November 7th. And then I can also further customize the color, so I can put the out as the red color and the in as some sort of green color, and then you can even swap the order of it so it looks nice on the chart. Yeah, so that is the answer to our first query question. With this, you can visually see how much USDC we can see during the turbulence period, 6th and 7th, where a lot of USDC was deposited and a lot of, where one could argue even more USDC with withdrawal. All right, now you've learned how to query for the money flow of things. Let's test it with a homework assignment. So for the assignment, please write a query to answer this question. What is the ETH net flow amount in USD terms for FTX International on November 6th, 2022? So something to flag, we're looking for the native ETH token on the Ethereum mainnet. And instead of looking for inflow and outflow separately, we're looking for a combined net flow, which is inflow minus outflow. And please tag your query with Dune Workshop Assignment Initiation. Please click on this link to submit your answer and the associated query. Just follow the instruction. The link to submit will also be down in the description. If you get the right answer, you'll qualify for a Dune initiation NFT. All right, so now is the part where I am reminded to give you a unique session code. So the code is YTDI. You will need that, submit and qualify. All right, good luck. So what can one build with Dune? Basically everything. Data views around contextual events such as FTX Saga, wallet breakdowns if you want to know the profit and loss for your wallet throughout a particular month, token distribution, protocol metrics, just like what you do for Web2 companies, and cross-domain comparisons. If you want to compare Uniswap's performance on, let's say, Ethereum chain versus a new chain it launched, you can do that. This is just a start, so you can basically build anything that you can build with data. So just to inspire you with some use cases and example, what people have done with Dune, they've done research such as NFT wash trading. So our GOAT wizard, Hiltobi, found that, as you can see from this chart, right? A bunch of the trading volume is actually wash trading instead of organic. And he wrote a whole research paper on it if you click on the link, if you want to read more. And then separately, another great wizard did this Uniswap airdrop analysis to see how well the incentive worked. And you can see one of the chart that he did was that 97.9% of people did nothing with their airdrop, right? So then he in turn published a research paper upon this. So those are the type of research you can do. And obviously you can do traditional type of business intelligence. So Data Wolf here, another great wizard, did a whole dashboard on NFT business metrics, right? So this really helps the NFT collection managers to understand metrics of the NFT collection. And also, if you're interested in finding alpha, then you can do some token sleuthing, right? People have built dashboard for that as well. So really, the world is your oyster. Whatever you can think about, you can build with Dune. All right, now we've arrived at step 5, which is ready, set, go. So now you have all the knowledge you need to complete the assignment and earn your Dune initiation POAP. So definitely go do that. And then if you want to learn more and do more, go do these things. Watch the 12 Days of Dune. Andrew and I launched this mini-series last December. We have 12 queries that we walk through each day on Uniswap metrics. And then you can also watch Arcana, where we talk about real-world applications of Web3 data analytics. And then definitely check out this link, Get Paid While Learning to Do Web3 Data. Claim some bounties while you learn how to do Web3 data analysis. Find us on various social media, Discord, newsletter, Twitter, and YouTube. So congratulations on making it here. Now go do the assignment and earn the Dune initiation POAP. Bye!